Aaryna Sabalenka fires revenge warning to Madison Keys as pair set up Brisbane clash. World number 1, Aaryna Sabalenka, who concluded her 2025 season with impressive results, is back with a bang at the 2026 Brisbane International. The Belarusian booked her place in the quarterfinals, and here, she will take on Madison Keys, who beat her in last year's Australian Open final. Aaryna Sabalenka talks about avenging Australian Open final defeat to Madison Keys in Brisbane. Sabalenka is the defending champion at the Brisbane International as well as the top seed, and received a bye to the second round. Here, she thrashed Kristina Buxa 6-0, 6-1 to set up a third-round clash with Sorana Cîrstea. The Belarusian beat the Romanian 6-3, 6-3 to book her place in the quarterfinals. In her post-match press conference, which took place at a time when the winner of Keys' match against Diana Schneider was not confirmed, Sabalenka was asked if the American was in the category of players she wanted to take revenge against, with the reporter hinting towards last year's Australian Open final. The Belarusian spoke about beating Keys at Indian Wells last year but said that she would like to avenge her defeat in Melbourne. Sabalenka also stated that she was excited to take on Keys. No, actually, if we're talking particularly about our matches in Australia, because after Australian Open we played in Indian Wells, and I got my win back. But here, specifically in Australia, of course I'd like to get the revenge. If it's going to be Keys, it's going to be, as always, a great battle, really aggressive tennis. I'm excited to face her, Sabalenka said. Read more. Aaryna Sabalenka explains how Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova inspired her favorite Australian Open look. Sabalenka will take on Keys in the quarterfinals after the American edged out Schneider 6-7, 5, 7-6, 5, 7-6, 4. This will be the 8th meeting between the two, with the Belarusian leading their head-to-head 5-2. Whoever out of the two wins will face either 3rd seed Elena Rybakina or 11th seed Karolina Muchova in the semifinals of the Brisbane International. Elsewhere in the WTA 500 event, 4th seed Jessica Pegula booked her place in the quarterfinals with a 5-7, 6-2, 6-3 win over Diana Yastremska. Here, she will take on 10th seed Ludmila Samsonova, who triumphed 6-4, 6-4 over Alexandra Sasnovich. Pegula's compatriot, 2nd seed Amanda Anisimova, however, suffered a shock 4-6, 3-6 defeat to 16th Kostuk. The Ukrainian will face 6th seed Mira Andreeva, who booked her place in the last 8 with a hard-fought 5-7, 6-4, 7-5 win over 9th seed Linda Noskova. Fire on the court. Aaryna Sabalenka's revenge mission against Madison Keys. Brisbane, Australia. The Queensland sun was already high, scorching the courts of the Brisbane International, as Aaryna Sabalenka marched off the practice courts and into the spotlight. There was a familiar glint in her eyes, that same unshakable intensity that has both frustrated her foes and enthralled tennis fans across the globe. And as the media gathered, recorders poised, pens hovering over notepads, the world number 1 did not mince her words. If it's going to be Keys, I'd love the revenge, Sabalenka said, her voice calm but charged. It's always a great battle, really aggressive tennis. I'm excited to face her. This wasn't a casual press conference soundbite. It was a declaration, an open admission that, beneath the surface of typical professional courtesy, a deeper storyline was unfolding. Echoes of Melbourne, the backdrop to a rivalry. To understand the weight of her words, one must look back to January 2025 and the Australian Open final where Madison Keys emerged victorious in a thrilling 3-set battle that captured the world's imagination. Keys claimed her first Grand Slam title, stunning the 2-time defending champion Sabalenka and handing her a rare setback on the biggest stage. That defeat was more than a scoreboard result, it was a narrative turning point. Sabalenka was denied a historic 3rd consecutive Australian Open title, a feat achieved only by legends of the game. The disappointment was visceral. The Belarusian vented her frustration courtside and walked back into the press zone with a complex mix of athletic pride and emotional weight. In the year that followed, Sabalenka sought, and found, revenge elsewhere. At the prestigious Indian Wells event in March 2025, she dismantled Keys decisively, laying down a statement that she had evolved, both mentally and tactically, since that Australian Open loss. Women's Tennis Association. But Brisbane presented a new stage, an Australian battleground again, and the opponent, Keys, waiting across the net. Legacy, intensity, and a quest for redemption. For Sabalenka, tennis has never been a subtle sport, nor has her personality lent itself to quiet journeys. Her rise to world number one was built on sheer force, relentless aggression, and a serving game that can overwhelm even the best in the world. She's a player who embraces confrontations, thrives in power baseline battles, and constructs points with the ferocity of a middleweight champion. Tennis Australia. Meeting Keys again in Brisbane was not merely a match, it was a chance to rewrite the ending of a chapter that had gone against her on Australian soil. Here, specifically in Australia, of course I'd like the revenge, she reaffirmed after a confident straight sets win over Aaryna, setting the stage for Friday's quarterfinal. Racing and sports. But Sabalenka's statement was nuanced. Later interviews and media interactions around Brisbane revealed subtlety beneath the revenge rhetoric. She spoke openly about not chasing vengeance as an emotional vendetta, but rather channeling the competitive fire that fuels improvement, focusing on getting better and bringing her best tennis. Tennis.com. Madison Keys. Drama, grit, and a game of heart. If Sabalenka brought intensity, Keys brought drama. Earlier in the tournament, Keys survived a 3-hour epic against Diana Schneider, a marathon in which she battled back from a set and breakdown to secure a triple tiebreak victory 6-7, 5, 7-6, 5, 7-6, 4. Women's Tennis Association. It was exactly the kind of fight that defines Keys' game: explosive power, heavy forehands, big serves, and the mental toughness to outlast opponents in punishing conditions. As she smiled, weary but triumphant, after that match, she seemed keenly aware of the significance. "It's always good to start the year with a little bit of drama," she said afterward, a grin etched with both relief and resolve. Women's Tennis Association. Keys' tennis career, unlike many of her contemporaries, is not built on a straight narrative of meteoric rises or easy victories. It's a story of perseverance, of battling back from injuries, of grinding through matches that seem destined for the early exit list but end in remarkable comebacks. The 2025 Australian Open title was the crown jewel in that journey, and now she stood once again on the brink of facing Sabalenka in a showdown ripe with history and tension. Brisbane's charged atmosphere, a battle lines drawn. The Brisbane International, a premier WTA 500 event and a key warm-up to the Australian Open, has quickly evolved into more than just a tune-up tournament. It has become a hotbed for top-tier early-season competition, where elite players test form, grit, and strategy under real pressure.